just getting back to this defence budget, Starmer knew he wasn't going to put that up. I don't care what anyone says. He will have predicted, he'll have enough experts whispering in his ear and saying this is the situation. He more than implied that, the defence departments were going to get a fair share of money. They were going to be up in the ante. There was going to be new investment with them, bearing in mind the decline they've been in for the last 12 years or so, and it ain't going to happen. And you know what? He knew it wasn't going to happen. That almost verges on lies.
The sponsors of the Labour Party appear to be intent on undermining British heritage. And this is not just rhetoric, it's a disturbing reality. Yes, you heard that correctly. People are growing increasingly weary of the current situation. Starmer, who once seemed like a dependable leader, is now losing support even from his own MPs. He stands on the brink of resignation, and this awareness weighs heavily on him. His grip on the Labour Party is weakening with each passing day, and the illusion of unity is crumbling before our eyes. Yet, behind closed doors, a very different and troubling narrative is unfolding. Who among the party members is prepared to challenge him? How unstable has his leadership truly become? The internal conflict within the Labour Party is becoming increasingly apparent, and there are signs that covert leadership campaigns are already underway. While Starmer struggles to address the mounting national issues, some party members are quietly banding together against him, engaging in schemes and plotting behind the scenes.
I want you to be honest with people. What are you going to do? Are you going to become the austerity Prime Minister if you win the election?
It'd be an awful inheritance if we're privileged enough to come into power. They've damaged the economy, they've damaged our public services, and we have to change that. I ran a public service, so I don't need anybody to tell me how important it is that our public services are properly supported and properly funded. We have to ensure that we've got an economy that is thriving, because at the bottom of all of this is the fact the economy's been stagnant for 14
I know you want to grow
years.
the economy,
So
but that's not going to happen on day one. I want Sheffield Wednesday to win the Premier League. I know it's not going to happen this season.
But there's a lot of things we can do very quickly. The changing the planning regulations and rules can be done very, very quickly.
Councils are going
National
bust.
Wealth Fund.
Councils are going bust now.
Yes.
There's a 5.5 year, and I know you'll care about this, there's a 5.5 year average wait from a rape being committed to that person seeing justice.
People are grappling with tough and uncomfortable questions about their identity as a party and their vision for the future of Britain. And I must say, the answers, or the lack thereof, are profoundly unsettling. This is not merely a public relations maneuver by the Labour Party. It highlights much deeper concerns regarding their stance on British culture and values. As we will soon see, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how Labour is tackling cultural issues. The party's cultural shift is creating an increasing divide with its traditional supporters. They are advocating for policies that may sound impressive in academic settings and seminars, but fail to resonate with working-class communities. While topics like gender identity and climate change are significant, they are far removed from the urgent issues that matter to many Labour voters, such as employment, housing, and food security.
13% of the asylum seekers, or the people who claim asylum, in the European Union. Now, that could take us to about 180,000 a year. What he will succeed in doing is reducing the number of small boat crossings of the Channel. So he will, because in that 180,000 will be the 40+ thousand who would otherwise come across on boats. There may still be some people who come across on boats, those who aren't selected to come here, but essentially we're talking about 180,000 instead of, through various means, including the Channel crossings, probably in the region of 60,000 who come over to claim asylum at the moment. Now, does he understand that, yes or no? I think he does, in which case he is lying to the British people. He is manipulating things, and I think he's going after securing the vote of the people who say the way to solve the small...
This contradiction is not merely talk. It results in tangible solutions that alienate their core supporters. For instance, the demolition of M&S buildings has sparked significant debate. Yet, the Labour Party appears too focused on projecting a progressive image to consider its legacy. Political commentator James Price remarked that Starmer's self-assuredness in its political stance seems misplaced. The decisions made by Labour are increasingly unpopular, particularly among its long-time supporters, who feel distance from the party they have backed for generations. This change is not only causing dissatisfaction, but also poses real risks in upcoming elections. The party's traditional strongholds are starting to falter. Lifelong Labour voters are now questioning the party's identity, asking, "Who are you?" There is intense discussion within the party regarding its future direction, with some advocating for the continuation of the new progressive agenda, while others yearn to return to the party's foundational principles. This has led to internal conflicts. Starmer's insistence that he does not regret his policies only exacerbates the situation. Meanwhile, the UK economy is grappling with stagnation, job losses, and a cost of living crisis that is severely impacting working families.
What are you going to do straight away if you're in number 10? Be honest. Are you going to borrow more? Or are you going to enact austerity?
Well, where we are going to be able to put money into our public services, we've been clear that we'll do that. So when it comes to the NHS, 2 million reduction in the waiting lists by the scheme that we've got to work 24/7. With our schools,
I'm not talking
getting
about the
rid of
initial.
VAT so we can put more teachers into our schools
1.7 billion
desperately
pounds.
needed.
IFS is 20 billion pounds in public services, and you're not being honest about what you're going to do. This is your chance. Tell people.
We need to ensure that the economy is growing. We can turn
It's
that
not
around.
going to happen on day one.
Please, just hear me out.
It's
You're
not
telling
though.
me
It's not.
Planning can be changed very, very quickly. That will have a massive impact on growth. The second thing is our National Wealth Fund, which will bring in private investment. I talk to private investors all of the time.
Angela Rayner is emerging as a more prominent figure and a potential candidate for a top position. Rumours are circulating that she and Starmer may be vying for the leadership, creating tension within the party. The internal dynamics of the Labour Party are experiencing significant and concerning shifts. Influential MPs like Liz Kendall and others may begin to openly challenge Starmer, further deepening factional divides within the party. Andrew Marr, a former BBC political journalist, warns that disappointing results in local elections could trigger real panic among MPs, leading to a rise in personal ambitions and factional manoeuvring within the cabinet. In the local elections, there are indications that the Labour government is contemplating the possibility of postponing them. The upcoming elections will serve as a crucial test for Starmer's leadership. Poor outcomes could not only heighten dissatisfaction within the party, but also threaten his position. Additionally, it has come to light that a member of the Labour Party has dared to speak out against him. While the identity of this whistleblower remains unknown, the revelations could have serious repercussions for Starmer's political future. As internal conflicts continue to escalate, there is a palpable sense of anxiety and uncertainty surrounding the future of the Labour Party and its role in Britain.
At the weekend, I took a microphone and a camera to a high street and I spoke to a load of pensioners that, some voted Labour, some didn't. But the anger out there is so high. They cannot believe what this government is doing. The optics is terrible. They are living the high life. Keir Starmer has had more freebies than any other MP over the last 5 years. I mean, after what he said in interviews and in Parliament, this is the biggest hypocrite in politics. It's such a bad look, and they are so out of touch with the normal people of this country. And I would have thought they would have given it a year or so, before they decided to act like this. But it's after weeks. They've got.
As Labour faces an identity crisis, a pressing question emerges: who truly advocates for Britain's working people? It appears that the Labour Party is struggling to meet this challenge. Starmer's leadership is fraught with significant issues. Public opinion polls are disappointing, indicating a rapid decline in his popularity. It's not just that the public is losing faith in him, his own party members are beginning to turn against him as well. Experienced political journalist Andrew Marr has reported that covert leadership campaigns are already in motion. While Starmer maintains a facade of normalcy, his deputies are scheming behind the scenes. If the Labour Party performs poorly in the local elections next May, it could trigger a vote of no confidence or compel Starmer to step down. Potential successors are already positioning themselves for a leadership bid. Discontent is rising across the board, and the Labour Party is starting to recognise that Starmer may not be able to secure an election victory. The situation is dire. 60% of Brits are dissatisfied with Starmer. When you lose the trust of both voters and your own party, your time in power is limited.
And they say to me, Keir, we've got the money to invest right now in your country, but we're not going to do that because we don't see the stability. We don't see the conditions in which we're going to invest.
Notice there that Starmer talks about the National Wealth Fund, which by the way, will need money. You can't just have a National Wealth Fund. We'll invest in places, but we won't capitalise it with any money. He conflates the National Wealth Fund with stability. They're two separate things, Sir Keir.
Critics vehemently accuse the Labour Party of being short-sighted, claiming they carelessly overlooked the importance of preserving historic buildings in favour of demolition. This situation raises significant concerns about the extent of influence wealthy donors have on party politics. Are we truly witnessing a scenario where donor interests shape the direction of the Labour Party? This entire situation highlights a growing divide within the party. On one side are the modernisers eager to transform Britain, while on the other are those who value our cultural heritage. This prompts us to question what other radical ideas may be lurking in the background and impacting the Labour Party. As the party attempts to navigate this turmoil, they find themselves under unprecedented scrutiny. What do you think about this video? Share your thoughts in the comments, and see you next time.